But let us talk now about the 1-year extension by the US Senate for the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA. The lower house extended it by 3 years, the Senate by 1. Peter Fabricius, foreign affairs journalist and analyst. What does one make of that, Peter? Good afternoon.
Hi, John. Yeah, my understanding is that it's going to end up being a 1-year extension. That I think the administration has made it quite clear that it's only prepared to endorse 1 year, and so I think this bill will probably go back to the House to be amended to make it a 1-year extension.
Is a 1-year extension? I mean, it's better than nothing, or is it not better than nothing? Is it equivalent to nothing?
No, anything's better than nothing. I mean, there's a lot of criticism about it. People say that it doesn't give investors much, confidence that their investment's going to be worthwhile. That they, with only 1-year extension of the act, and just creates a lot of uncertainty where there's already a lot. But one U.S. trade expert I was talking to said that it's quite a miracle that AGOA has been revived at all, considering that it was considered sort of dead in the water,
Why would the lower house have given 3 hours? I mean, that suggests a kind disposition towards AGOA.
Yeah, although I suspect it might have been just a procedural thing, because I think the House took it up first, and they passed it at 3, and then then I think the administration's view was clearly conveyed, and so the Senate pared that down to 1, and I think it'll then, as I say, go back to the House also to be reduced to 1.
And midterm elections later this year might, can't say for sure, might return control of both houses to the Democrats, which means when the 1-year extension is finished, there might be another, because there's a different political philosophy, although there is still the anti-Trump president, the anti-South African president in the White House. So it's an extraordinarily uncertain future for the Senate.
Yeah. So, for example, I mean, there was some kind of celebration here and there that South Africa wasn't explicitly excluded, but I think a lot of people didn't think that would be written into the bill, but it could still happen. It could happen by proclamation. Someone said to me, for example, that it might be that when Trump signs the bill, he might even kick us out with the proclamation. Who knows? The guy's so unpredictable. And then, in any case, I think we've discussed this before, but the way AGOA works generally is that they either annual or sort of irregular out-of-cycle reviews of the eligibility of individual countries, and there could be one of those instituted against South Africa, and we could fall foul of that. So it's so dependent on the kind of whim of the White House in a way, and I suppose beyond the White House.
I'm sure that there are people within the Trump administration who are aware of what happened in South Africa fairly recently, us kicking out the lead Israeli diplomat in South Africa and them retorting. Is there any indication from the US sources that you're in touch with or follow that this has been taken note of at a high level in the US administration and is adding to the catalogue of sins that South Africa has supposedly committed in their eyes?
To be honest, John, I don't have that for sure, but I'm quite convinced of it. I mean, Trump seems to be very tuned into what's happening here. And that's the kind of thing that all those South Africans over there who report back on what's happening here would have reported back on. I'm sure of that.
And look, I haven't had many conversations about AGOA, but the ones I have had, particularly subsequent to the beginning of the punitive tariff regime in this first year of the second visitation of Donald Trump, I was about to say something else, is that South African exporters, they either exempt because of the importance to the American economy of what we are sending to them, or they are doing reasonably well in finding alternative markets and losing AGOA benefits would not be the worst thing in the world. It certainly wouldn't be the impact on the South African economy that it would have been if it had happened 3 or 4 years ago. Is that your sense as well?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, it's always been true that it's not gigantic, proportionally to our exports, but it is significant, and there's certain sectors where it's more than others, automobiles and wines and fruits and so on for the Western Cape. So, yeah, look, it's and I think you're right. Alternative markets have been found. And there's a kind of relativity about it too, as long as others are also paying reciprocal tariffs, etc. Then the impact is somewhat lessened. But it's not the end of the world, but it doesn't help in an economy that's not exactly flourishing.
There is the understatement of 2026 so far, and it is all down to Peter Fabricius, foreign affairs journalist and analyst.